Hello and welcome to Ham Nation, episode 609 for October 22nd, 2025. And hello, everybody. I'm Josh, KI6NAZ. Thanks for clicking on Ham Nation here on the Ham Radio Crash Course. Had a big weekend last weekend that we're going to catch you up on, but also some fun stuff coming up that you're about to hear. So let's say hi to our wonderful hosts. How is everybody this evening?
Hey there.
Howdy.
Good.
Howdy. Gordo, you're back from an amazing trip that you'll be telling us later about, but how you doing?
Oh, we're doing great. It was Pacificon, a big success. And tonight we're going to talk about getting loaded antennas loaded.
Nice.
Get loaded. All right, with Gordo. I love it.
No, I was going to avoid that.
Why didn't we have that in the show title?
I'm changing the title of the show right now. Get loaded with Gordo.
Gordo gets loaded.
Gordo gets loaded. Don, how you doing this evening?
I'm well. Missed you guys a couple of weeks ago. Dawn and I were at Cruising the Coast down on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, where they had over 10,000 classic cars registered and a whole lot more that were like not registered. My car's too young to register because it's older than 1989. Hopefully we'll be remedying that soon. We're looking to get an older car again that we can register. But we had a great time, my wife and I, and looking at all the classic cars and drooling and wishing we could afford that one and that one. Oh, and that one over there. But nonetheless, we had a great time. But it's good to be back with you guys tonight. And it's good to have Dr. Scove and her report tonight as well in the Ham Nation package.
I love it. But Don, you got to tell me, to qualify as a classic car, it has to be made 1989 or older? That's the
rules for Cruising the Coast for that
Does
event.
that hurt you a little bit, Josh? To know that you
a
probably
little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
1989 or older. If it's 1990 or younger, you cannot register.
Yeah,
it as
like
a
I'm
classic
thinking
car.
it should be in the 70s at least before
Yeah.
it's considered a classic.
Yeah.
Well,
Lord.
yeah, but consider this was the 29th year. So you go back to, what was that? 1996 was the first year. So, back then it was like it had to be 20 years old, I believe.
Okay.
And then as now we've gone 30 years, almost 30 years 30 years on, to go back, 20 years would be a 2005.
Wow.
So nobody wants to see one of those at a classic car event.
Right,
So yeah, they cut it off at 1989. So there's a lot of cool cars that are 1989 and older.
Oh
So,
yeah. A ton of like really cool Japanese vehicles that you don't see out here that you can get now really cheaply.
And also think about things like the Buick Grand National. Those were late 80s.
Yeah.
Those
right
all those.
all the
so there's
boxy
a lot of
Chevy trucks.
All the
there's-
Mustangs,
right,
Fox
exactly,
bodies. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of cool cars in that age, but that's not why y'all tuned in.
I don't know. I'm kind of getting.
For ham radio.
We're going to get loaded on car antennas here in a little bit, so I don't know.
Oh, there you go.
We're getting excited for it.
Good
Amanda,
deal.
how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. I'm super excited. Headed to Grand Junction, Colorado tomorrow. We've got a huge hamvention taking place, and in my mind, it's huge because I helped put it together. So I've been working really, really hard on that. But so my weekend is going to be full of ham radio stuff. So stay tuned. Follow me on Facebook. You'll see a ton of photos and probably more than you need to. But we're going to have a fun time. So all that being said, I have a ham it or can it tonight. And that's about it, because that's what I could muster together.
You got a lot going on.
That'll be fun.
Thank you.
Can't wait.
But I have a really good set of ham it or can it. So everyone stay tuned on that. So, all right, let's throw it back up to Gordo. He's got a lot to fill us in on. Take it away, Gordo.
All right. Well, thanks, Amanda. And yes, you're going to have a great convention. Pacificon this past couple of weekends ago, big success. They were up 18 to 22% over the last couple of years, and the hall was jammed at the Marriott. So a big success, and Gary Johnson and Debbie and I presented our ham radio instructor. And if you want to see some interesting kits that Gary and Debbie have brewed up for instructors to demo to kids and adults out of about 6 different easy-to-get parts, go to Alpha Alpha 6 Golf Juliet, AA6GJ, and follow it to all his neat ham radio instructor stuff. Well, when we were there at Pacificon, we had a good chance to look at the parking lot, and we saw some wonderful antennas. And we noticed that there were big antennas with coils like this for getting loaded down on the 40-meter band and 75-meter bands. And then we saw a host of other smaller antennas. And, we came up with this great idea. We said, Don, you've got to come back to that good old car because we want to see, Don, a good
Yeah,
Hustler, a good high Q antenna. What
I
what
miss
kind
that
of rig
car.
was that, Don?
That was a '78 Trans Am. I miss that car. I sold that 5 years ago. Can't believe it's been that long now.
Was that with the big block, the
Wow.
78?
Yeah, well, see, now you're getting into a gray area talking cars now. Pontiac did not do a big block. All the blocks were essentially physically the same size. All of the changes between the displacements was done with bore and stroke, not like a Chevy small block and big block, or an Oldsmobile or a Buick small block, big block, or a Ford small block, big block. The Pontiacs were all the same size block. So
All right. Well, that was good information. And did you have any EMI noise coming through on HF, or did you just live with it?
no, I didn't. I didn't have a radio in that car. I didn't.
Whoa. Oh,
Blasphemy.
my
No,
gosh.
no,
Well,
I
we
didn't.
better go to the next shot.
Yeah, go on to the next one then. Yeah,
For
'cause
those,
clearly I'm
for those
see
vehicles.
that
So,
I needed
Don,
one of those on there. I
yeah.
wasn't like Bob Heil with his Thunderbird. I didn't have that big antenna on
Well,
there.
for those of you that do 75 meters and 160, as well as maybe even 40 meters, and you really want a commanding signal, you need to cut down in any R with the I squared R losses associated with whips. Because remember, for 10 meters for unity gain, that's only an 8-foot whip. You don't need any loading coil. For 15 meters, you need about 11 feet of antenna, just a plain old telescopic or stainless steel whip, and you're on the air with 0 dB loss and 0 dB gain. And that's what you want. Mobile is to have at least no loss. For 20 meters, that's 16 feet. And a 16-foot whip is going to just make it under bridges, unless you're flying like Amanda up there in Colorado. But for 40 meters, that's 32 feet. That's a little too much. So now you've got to add inductance. And to add inductance, that means a loading coil. And that loading coil needs to be as far up the antenna as possible and with good grounding. And here this gentleman has tuned ground systems. And while people may laugh at, oh, God, look at that. He's probably got a toilet bowl float on the top. That would be a copper bowl float. Don't laugh, because he was working stations that we couldn't even hear mobile on a regular antenna. Well, mobile, you need to have a coil, and a lot of motorized coils, a lot of small coils. And we're talking big coils for 40, 75, and 160. Well, it takes a lot for 160. But for 40 and 75, a 2-inch, 3-inch, or even a 4-inch coil is in order, because you want to really cut down where the current is for minimum power lost in the coil windings. And for tuning it, you can see that they have both automatic as well as manual tuning. And we actually go to where the coil is resonant. So you have capacitive reactance equaling inductive reactance down at the base, capacitive at the top where maximum voltage is. And when they are resonant, X of L equals X of C, that is resonance. And that's when your antenna is going to perform the best. But it's going to perform the best out of the top of the antenna, not the coil and below. Now, this is Leo's vehicle. Leo is an avid ham who still works for all these years for Kenwood Corporation. And let me tell you, Kenwood has now a great service center here in the Southland. And Leo Famey is still the voice of, if you call for service and have a question, he can get you tuned into the question answer and then tell you about the service. It's not at Kenwood, but rather a service center. But let me tell you, they are up to date. So if ever you call Kenwood, ask for Leo, tell them Gordo sent you, and they'll take good care. And there is his vehicle with that big high Q antenna, because he does a lot of 40. Now, you're going to see a lot of different motorized antennas, and you're going to see them at ham fests all over the country as well as on vehicles. The motorized antennas work great, but you really got to listen as you're rolling that motor through the different coil sections, because the noise is going to come way up when you hit resonance. And where you hear the maximum noise, that's where you want to stop the motor action, because that's where the coil is now tuned. Try and get your antenna for high frequency up as high as possible. On this particular antenna, it's not bad. It's probably the only best mounting spot for keeping that antenna equipped not to fall off or roll off, but you want to get it as high as possible to minimize interaction to the body of the vehicle. I'm told that the upper body of this vehicle is fiberglass. So as long as they're not carrying anybody in the back seats, this would be a good antenna installation. And again, the main part of that antenna on high frequency is going to come off of the tip whip. And this is an ATAS from Yaesu, and they do a nice job of the design of that antenna, and it really performs well on 10, 15, and 20 meters. But on any lower frequencies, if you got a real long whip on it, it's not as good performing as you may have a single band whip. And that's where these single banders really shine. They're lightweight. They take a bruising if they hit a tree. And the nice part of it is they stow pretty nicely, because these single banders unscrew 3/8 tap right in the center. So the loading is at the base, and it's the stainless steel tip whip that carries a voltage that's going to get your single out. And because the antenna is only a couple of pounds, you can mount it on a host of different mounts up nice and high on the trunk clip, and you're going to have a good signal. So for 10, 15, and sort of 20, they're going to perform well. But down on 40 and 75, while they'll load up and they've got a high Q on looking at them on an SWR analyzer, they won't put out quite the signal that something with a much larger coil will do, because these single tune whips rely on relatively small wire windings to keep the whole thing light, and the windings are in the center, and center loading is what most HF antennas work off of. Base loading, no way. Base loading, that's where the current is, and that coil will eat up the power. So center loading, there were a few that were actually top loading, and I've got one here that I'll show you in just a moment. The problem with top loading of an HF whip is that's where maximum voltage is. And when I had a top loaded whip, I was going down the freeway and people were like motioning to me, and I go, "Hi, how you doing?" And I knew they were just admiring my wonderful antenna, where the tip was on fire. Well, anyway,
Gordo
so
had a
watch out
smoking
for
signal
top
that
loading.
day.
And look at the windings. Well, you can't see them because they're covered with a black PVC. But if the windings look real tight and real small, you're going to lose some energy and they're going to get warm. So next time you're on the air, after you sign off, go back there and feel the coil. And if it's real warm, that's probably a quarter or half your power gone up in heat. Some antennas mount with a 3/8 24 thread. This is the common PL type of a mount. And this one's by Diamond. And the Diamond antenna is a good performer. It mounts easily. And the best part about the Diamond is it can lay over. And there are other antennas that have the layover feature. And they even have, if you can look them up, some old MFJs that actually had a layover mount. And the best part about the automatic layover mount is if you still forget to lay it over and you go in the garage, while it strips out some of the threads, it'll lay down without destroying the antenna, although the mount will never be the same. All right, X of L is equal to X of C at resonance. How can I get more X of C? That is capacitive reactance up at the top. We use loading coils for the X of L, and for the X of C, we use a capacity hat. Now, all sorts of different capacity hat shapes take place. This one is 3/4 of the way up, and then there's a 3/8 24 screw-on whip on the tip top. This is a good performer because it puts that radiation and gives it more radiation resistance, which gives you a stronger signal output. And the capacitor hat literally pulls the current through the inductor and up at the top, and that turns into voltage, and that's the RF that you want to get out. Here's the tip top of one of the mobile antennas, and that's a capacity hat not to be reckoned with. Actually, probably not to be driven around with because it'll catch on something and it's gone. But that's a real capacity hat, and that's going to really reduce the amount of coil turns necessary to be able to resonate the antenna on a specific band. Stay from base loading. You could get away with it in the old days of 27 megs on CB or converted to 28 megs ham. But base loading, this is where the current is, and you're going to cause a real problem in that thing getting red hot on different frequencies. The old days of having to stop the car and retap where the antenna was tuned, but the open coils were a big feature back then, and you can still buy at big ham fests, probably at Amanda's ham fest too, these open coils where you can then tune them to a specific band that's going to look at the ground plane. And there's nothing better than pulling into a ham swap meet that we had up at Pacificon and have everybody gather around going, "Oh my God, you drive down the road with that?" And you go, "Yeah, I just avoid the trees." Well, when everybody's gone, you know you're going to take it apart so you can drive down the road without that monster. This is a typical on the ham whips, which sell for about $25 a piece per band, 3/8 24 thread, and there are plenty of mounts that will accept the 3/8 24 thread. And if you see one of these, Josh, if he's ahead of you, he's going to buy it first.
Yep.
This is the Outbacker. Don Larnold, W6 GPS, brought these in from overseas, and they are absolutely wonderful because they have capabilities to tap into each band that you want. No, they're not motorized. No, they're not automatic. And yes, they will give you good exercise when you say, well, let's go to the next band up. And you've got to pull over and you undo this little winding wire and plug it into the right tap.
Coolest contact I ever made, Gordon, was on one of those Antarctica mobile on a Perth Plus.
Wow.
With a Icom 706 Mark II-G from Mississippi.
Wow.
There you go. And there is the Outbacker antenna. And occasionally you'll find them if they're anywhere under $150. That's a good deal. Yeah. And Josh, if you'll go to live video here, you'll see that this particular Outbacker actually comes in 3 different pieces, and it's a goodie. And here's what's left of the top-loaded antenna, completely burned up. And this is your typical ham stick. And notice it's very small. The coil is pretty small wire, doesn't get too warm. And they make them anywhere from 10 to 75 meters. I don't think anybody would try and wind a coil for 160 mobile. There, you really need a big form. So if you're getting started on ham radio, you'll probably do voice on 10 meters. These ham sticks are wonderful. They're almost no loading on 10 meters because they're about 8 feet tall. That's almost a natural resonance for the 10-meter band. Remember, 10 meters wants to be 10 meters, wants to be about 8 feet long, 15 meters, 11 feet, 20 meters, 16 feet. And if you have one of those wonderful telescopic stainless steel antennas that are telescopic and you run them up to 32 feet, they're just shy of 32, so you can put a little fuzzball at the top made of metal and it'll load up. Now you're at 0 dB loss, 0 dB gain, and you are on the air. But the more you add loading to get to 40 and 75, the more you're going to slightly drop in dB to a -1, maybe -2 dB down on 75 meters. But nonetheless, you're on the air mobile. So go HF. And technicians, remember, you've got 10 meters for voice, 28.3 to 28.5. And during the Orionids meteor shower yesterday and day before, there was tons of activity on 10 meters that would come in strong. Yeah, I'm located in Philadelphia, and then they just fade away. And you were listening to meteor showers. You have tonight to try to do it again on 10 or 6 meters. So that's my story, Amanda. Back to you, and let's get our loading coils in order. WB6NOA, over.
And Gordo presented that very well for being loaded. Thank you.
Yeah, good job. Man, I miss my Outbacker. I lost it in Katrina. I wish I had that antenna back.
Oh, I didn't see many questions in chat,
I
but
saw
mostly
one.
just, did you? What did you
Yeah.
see?
This is actually a good one, Gordo. So the question from 45 Auto is, when you're running HF on mobile, how do you log your contacts?
I usually have a piece of paper like I did right here, and I just briefly put down their call sign as best I can. But I always say, please QSL, and I'll respond, because when they QSL, it means they really want to be in the log, and they'll be in the log.
There you go.
Over.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's I think that was the biggest ones I saw. There was mention
Yeah.
of coronal ball. So you mentioned the top-loaded coil. If you added a capacity hat on top of that, what would that do?
Well, if you added it to a top-loaded coil, you would probably have to take some aluminum or copper foil to wrap around the internal loading. Okay, so yeah, just a little bit of foil or
Gordo,
aluminum.
the audience can't hear you.
Hold
though.
on one second. And reconnecting. Hold on, everybody. Do you hear us? Do you see us? Let us know when you're good.
Chat room.
I just don't want the stream to drop.
Okay,
It looks
there
like.
we go.
Oh, wow. That's weird. Okay, real quickly, everybody. We had a real weird kerfuffle on my Restream software. It just stopped, and then I refreshed the page, and it came right back. So everybody, hang on to your toes. You never know when an AWS attack will strike us. So
I know.
yeah. So everybody, hang on. It looks like we're back. Yes, I think we got it. So I don't know how much you heard. Gordo, can you quickly? Yeah, okay, he's already shown it. Go ahead and re-show what you're showing there, Gordo.
Sure. The more you add to the tip whip by a coat hanger or a lampshade or whatever on a single band whip, you're going to need to take some copper foil and over the black plastic, just wrap it around this business end here of the coil. And that's going to reduce the apparent number of turns of the coil because it looks like you're shorting it out. But you do it right here at any place in the coil, and that's going to shorten the coil's inductive reactance, and it's going to cause the tip whip to now be able to radiate even greater amounts of that RF.
Okay, very good.
Very
Interesting.
good. Well, thank you, Gordo. We appreciate
Voodoo
that.
and black
Yeah,
magic.
thank you.
And we're going to hear from Icom next.
Pumpkins plaid and plenty of QSOs. Fall is here, and Icom rigs are your go-to gear. Whether you're chasing DX from the cozy comfort of your shack or taking your rig outdoors under crisp autumn skies, Icom keeps you connected through every season. Remote ready, contest capable, and built for serious signal, step into the future of amateur radio with Icom's powerhouse trio. The IC7760 HF digital transceiver, the IC-PW2 1 kilowatt HF 50 MHz linear amplifier, and the all-new RC7760 remote controller. Designed to work in perfect harmony, this system offers full remote operation, high output power, and seamless integration across the bands. The RC7760 remote controller serves as an extra control head, and up to 5 can be registered to the RF deck, though only 1 can be active at a time. For wireless connectivity, simply connect a commercially available Wi-Fi access point via the LAN port. Whether you're working from the shack, the field, or a remote site, you'll experience crystal clear audio, digital precision, and amplifier-grade power, all from a single unified interface. It's the ideal setup for contesters, MCOM operators, and high-demand users who expect more from their gear. The IC7300 combines intuitive touchscreen control, real-time spectrum display, and superior signal purity into one compact rig. Built for satellite, EME, and weak signal enthusiasts, the IC9700 combines all-mode operation on VHF, UHF, and 1.2 GHz. The IC705 go-to rig for outdoor hams who love POTA and SOTA activations. A large color touchscreen with real-time spectrum scope and waterfall display for intuitive function and setting operation. The IC705 provides big radio features and performance in the palm of your hand. Enjoy HF to 50, 144, and 440 MHz with D-Star, SSB, CW, RTTY, AM, and FM modes. For more information about all of Icom's great amateur radios, visit icomamerica.com/amateur today.
A huge thank you to Icom for sponsoring Ham Nation. Thank you so much. We very much appreciate it. Every time we go live, though, a little bit for you guys that are watching, we give away 3 swag packs, and the swag packs are like, maybe a bag, a t-shirt, tablet, pen, hat. It varies. It's random. But everybody who wins a swag pack,
Holes going through the roof, and through the trunk lid.
All right.
Well, it was an old cop car. It was an old cop car. They were already there, right? So, all right, let's go ahead and get into the news of the week from Ham Nation. And we've got the solar update from Dr. Scope. From Amateur Radio Newsline, report number 2503, this is Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. We begin this week with an important call to action from the IARU. Amateur radio is for everyone, as we know, but not everyone has the same access to what they need to succeed. Some operators, or those who wish to get their license, have disabilities that can get in their way.
One of the greatest challenges of amateur radio ought to be getting a rare DX, logging an all-time new one, or mastering a new skill or operating mode. It should not be the act of trying to get on the air itself. To ensure that...
Oh, and I just dropped that too. Do you guys hear me still? That's weird. Okay, hold on. That's a bit weird. Wow, we're having all kinds of weird issues with buffering and stuff.
Which the United Nations has declared to be the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. In an announcement about the program, its coordinator, Riri Azrak, OD5RI, encourages ham radio societies to plan awareness events, nets, or special events using a special call sign incorporating the letters PDRA. Hams are also being urged to identify and support disabled radio operators or other persons with disabilities who are seeking their license. He wrote, quote, "Together we can demonstrate that amateur radio truly belongs to everyone, regardless of physical or sensory ability," end quote. This is Jeremy Bucci for NJH.
We all know how precious copper can be on our antennas and elsewhere in our shacks. Our broadcast colleagues know it too and have suffered in recent years from vandalism and theft involving copper, and it's taken them off the air. One FCC commissioner recently called publicly for a tougher response.
There is a growing epidemic of attacks on communication sites, and the response needs to include sharper federal penalties and more sophisticated preventative action from the industry, according to the latest commissioner to join the FCC. Olivia Trusty, who was confirmed to the agency in June, called on telecom companies and broadcasters to fortify their sites with tamper-proof housings, cameras, and alarms, and said the government must likewise step up to penalties for theft and vandalism. The past 2 years have seen a number of high-profile copper thefts in the United States, disabling internet and television services and knocking broadcast stations off the air. For some radio stations, the result was tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage. Trustee noted that in some instances, the 911 emergency service was disrupted by similar attacks on telecom sites, with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security calling communication systems a top infrastructure sector. A bipartisan measure has been introduced in Congress to address these concerns. It is known as the Stopping the Theft and Destruction of Broadband Act of 2025 and was introduced by a Democrat and a Republican lawmaker with support from the industry. This is Kent Peterson, KC0DGY.
And finally this week, we mourn the passing of Ed Hare, W1RFI.
Newsline sends its condolences to the ARRL and the family of Ed Hare, W1RFI, who had a long tenure as an engineer in the league's lab. Ed became a silent key on the 10th of October after a long illness, according to the ARRL's website. A specialist in radio frequency interference and product testing, Ed had retired in 2023 but was still volunteering his time in the lab at the time of his death. His career had many milestones, including the ARRL's RFI program, which helps hams resolve interference issues. A devoted and proficient CW operator, Ed was 75. Rest in peace, Ed.
Newsline anchor Jim Dameron, N8TMW. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news since 1976 at arnewsline.org. With Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, Kent Peterson, KC0DGY, Jim Dameron, N8TMW, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe, I'm Don Wellbanks, AE5DW. 7-3, we'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. Now, here's the solar update from Dr. Tamitha Skov, WX6SWW.
We have a bit of a far side blast, a small radiation storm, and multiple solar storms are headed on their way to Earth, which is going to give us a bumpy ride. Those stories and more are in this week's Spotlight. Space weather this week is picking up in a big way. As we take a look at our Earth-facing disk, we are saying goodbye to this coronal hole. This gave us some fast solar wind over this past week and gave us some beautiful aurora clear down to mid-latitudes, along with some other solar storms. And meanwhile, though, although things are calming down, we still are getting a bit of a bumpy ride. The first bit of it is this poof right here. Look at that, woof. That actually was a partially Earth-directed solar storm. It's going to go to the east of Earth mainly, but it's likely going to graze us here over the next couple days. And that starts our bumpy ride. But there are other filament eruptions that we're going to be talking about, mainly sympathetic eruptions that have been occurring because we've been having some massive far-side blasts. Of course, old region 4246 and 4248. These regions that gave us a lot of the activity on the front side of the disk just this past week, they have picked it up a notch and are really getting exciting. That may not look too much, but whoosh, look at that. So these regions continue to fire off big solar storms, and it's causing some sympathetic eruptions. We're getting a few filaments that are launching in several places over the past couple days. They may give us a little bit of solar storming. It's not really clear how big of a solar storm they're going to cause. You can see some of these poofs as they lift off. And it's part of that may also be because this is kind of a partial closing coronal hole that used to be right here. It's still got a few open field lines in this area, and so it continues to be a little bit more unstable, and it makes solar storm launches a little bit more likely. So we might see a few more filaments launch in this arena in here. But meanwhile, as we get back to the red disk, you can see some major strong filaments all in here getting very, very twisted up. This is a very unstable configuration. And sure enough, late on the 21st into the 22nd, we get a massive far side blast. You can watch it coincident with a filament launch right in here. Whoosh, right there. We also get a lighting up of this region in here and a small launch from a filament, but you would not be able to tell because on the far side of the sun, there's region 4246 launches this massive far side halo, also starts a radiation storm that is still hitting Earth right now and is likely going to keep us at the enhanced level for the next couple days before things finally calm down. And believe it or not, in here somewhere, which we can't really see, is an Earth-directed solar storm. And I'll show you that as we move into looking at stereo data. We can tell that we actually do have an Earth-directed storm, but again, it's likely not going to be all that strong. So we're hoping that it's just going to give us a bit of a bumpy ride. Now let's switch to our stereo imagery. As you can see, here we got stereo looking at the sun from the far side, just to the west limb of Earth. And you can see regions 4246 or 46 and region 4248 really getting busy in there. You see, that's when it launched that big one. You'll watch it right here launch a really big solar storm. Let's wait for it. Wait for it. Come on. Boom, right there. You can see the big post-eruptive arcades right here. This thing launched way off to the far side, so it's not Earth-directed, but it also launched that big radiation storm. In the same time, if we come back over here, these are the regions that are pointing mainly at Earth. And you can see, let me back it up just a smidge. You can actually, do you see how you get this little evacuation here? See how bright it is? Watch how it releases, whoosh, just like that. Do you see that? You can even see this part of the field line kind of bend down a little bit. So this is definitely a letting go from something that's going to be Earth directed, but we just can't see it on coronagraphs. You can even see the closed loops forming afterwards because this big monster just took everything. So this is camouflaged inside those coronagraphs, and sadly we don't have good stereo imagery yet to be able to see whether or not this is Earth directed, but I'm betting it is, and that means we could get a bumpy ride easily from the 24th all the way through.
Give it a second. I think we're getting some buffering storms. I don't know what's going on with the internet, but I'm still there. Hold on, everybody.
I'm expecting that solar this week because we've got some big regions rotating into Earth view. NOAA's got us at minor noise on the dayside radio bands, sitting at about a 15% chance of radio blackouts at the R1 to R2 level. That's likely going to climb to probably about 25% as we move into the early part of next week and possibly even higher. We don't really have much of a chance of X-class flares right now at the moment, but that again could change as we move through the latter part of the weekend into next week because of those new regions that are going to be rotating into Earth view. So overall, it is a bit of a reprieve from the loud noise that we got on the dayside radio bands last week from those regions that have now headed far side, but we're watching them because they will be rotating back into Earth view in about 10 days. So the space weather this week has gotten pretty exciting. We don't have a lot headed toward Earth. In fact, we just have a couple wispy solar storms that will give us a bit of a bumpy ride starting about the 24th and possibly into the 26th and maybe even the 27th before things calm down. It's a little early to tell. But aurora photographers, if you're at high latitudes, you could definitely get a bit of a show. Aurora photographers at mid latitudes, well, likely the solar wind speed is going to be too slow to bring some decent storming down to mid latitudes. So only if you're dedicated and you can chase substorms should you bother to try. Now, amateur radio operators and emergency responders, well, things are looking pretty good for you right now. We're getting a bit of a reprieve. All that noise on the dayside bands you've probably noticed has dropped a bit, and that's going to continue easily through, I'm hoping, about the weekend before you start noticing the
almost looks like another one. Hang on. I don't know why we're getting these bufferings, but hang on. I can see them on my end with the internet pings through my restream. Yeah, it's odd. So just hang tight, everybody. It'll catch up. At least it did the last time.
storm. Space Weather Woman. Thank you for watching.
Jeez.
All right. All right. Well, we survived the buffering. Be sure to go to her Twitter feed on X at Tamitha Scove, also her YouTube channel, Tamitha Scove, and spaceweatherwoman.com. You can get the full and complete unedited version of that report. We certainly thank her for joining us here tonight, and we do appreciate everything that she does for us. Also, great thanks to the Newsline crew for another great report this week. And that's all I have, Joshua. Back to you.
Yeah, indeed. Boy, I hope we can get through the rest of the show. Howdy.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
I mean, you gotta. I'm not gonna go into a whole thing about AWS, but when you lose that much of the internet and like it all comes back, there's some bumps along the way to kind of get everything.
Kind of a ripple
back up.
effect to all that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like Down Detector is saying AWS is having tons of issues again. Spiked in the last 60 minutes, and. Yeah, guys. Hey, welcome to the internet. That's how all this works. That's how the technology works. But you can't just turn it off and on like a light switch. It just doesn't work that way. So
not so much.
We haven't lost connection, and so we're just going to keep on chugging along. Apologies for any parts that might have got cut in the YouTube rebroadcast. But Amanda, what are we moving on to next? Where are we going?
We've got some Ham It or Can It here going
Excellent.
on.
We need a little levity here, so that's beautiful.
Yes,
I love it.
It's going to be a good segment tonight.
Okay.
I have a lot of things, so I'm sure you see my screen now.
I recognize that picture.
This is so funny. So 2 weeks ago, or no, last Wednesday, I text Josh and I'm like, man, you ought to be happy that we're not doing a show tonight. And like, he doesn't respond for like hours. And he's like, yo, why? I'm like, YouTube's been down all night. And he's like, oh, I had no idea. I've been busy. And he sends me these photos. And it's like
Literally.
11 o'clock at night. And I'm reading a book at this point in time, just trying to unwind, and this is like very overstimulating at 11 p.m. So I'm like, bro, what are you doing? So Josh, you tell us what you're doing, but this photo is just like there's so much in it.
Yeah. So
Um,
1 second. You cannot hear her, Dawn. Can you hear Amanda or no? Can you hear me?
No, I hear you, but I can't hear her.
Can you refresh your
Sure.
website there and see if that helps you?
Yeah.
While I answer the question. So what we're doing is let me just say this. I got to say this. Join a club, everybody. Join an amateur radio club, because you get access to some
good
amazing
advice.
people that know way more than you do about lots of different areas, and this is one of those peoples. So we went out, a buddy of mine, Soda Plus, who's out on YouTube, an actual friend of mine. We went to his ham shack, and he has just the most amazing setup. We did full spectrum analysis on all of these little handhelds, the Baofeng Mini, all this other equipment, and we tested out my attenuators that I've been using for my spurious emissions test. We brought our tiny SAs. You can see those are 7 Baofeng Minis that are on the table. And really, it was because we were trying to track down if there was latent QA problems. And it turns out that we had all purchased ours different at different times, at different months, not even the same week. So we thought maybe we got a decent sample to see if we can find a problem. And we found, through the use of some very, very nice spectrum analysis, that, they're pretty close. They're pretty good. We tested some
Pretty cool.
Yaesus. We tested Kenwoods, tested some Motorola's. We just had a blast. We were hanging out in a dude's shack just testing radios, which is like the coolest thing you can do, I think, on a weekday.
That's pretty fun. And the funniest thing, like, here I'm observing these photos, and I don't care about all of these handhelds on the bench. I'm like, dude, who drinks Sprite?
That was literally what you told me. You're like, who drinks Sprite? And I'm like, and literally his
That's
wife,
funny.
who's amazing, said, I'm sorry, Doug, we're all out of Pepsi or Coke or something, so we only have Sprite. And he goes, okay, I guess. And that was
Even one of those radios is Sprite colored. Look at that.
It was so funny. Anyhow, it looks like it was a blast, Josh. So I'm glad you do. And Josh has a video on this, everybody. So make sure you
Yes.
check it out.
Yeah.
So thanks, Josh, for sharing those photos.
Yeah,
with
absolutely
me.
loved it.
Okay, what do we got next? Okay, my local repeater that had System Fusion has been down for a long time. What's the best hotspot out there to do digital modes? Oh my gosh, this is such an open-end question, but
Yeah.
I think everyone has their favorite. Josh, you first. What do you use?
I'm gonna pull it up on the web, so you tell yours, and then I'll show mine.
We have so many. I don't know which one we actually use right now. I think it's the Shark. Is that
yes.
correct?
That's
Okay.
what I have, as well as the open spot. The open spot, specifically the open spot 4 is what I have. Now, this is a great device. It's USB-C chargeable. It's got an internal battery. It works with just about anything, and it can cross band or cross mode. So you can go in with a D-Star and come out with something else, or go in with DMR and come out with whatever mode. It's not cheap, though, folks. Let me just tell you that it is. Let's see. It doesn't even tell you what the price is until you click the buy button. That should tell you. It's $325. They're not inexpensive. So keep that in mind. It does everything, but you're going to pay for everything. You pay for everything. What do you have, Amanda?
I can't even recall because we don't use it anymore because we have so many other options here. Donnie, what do you use?
Well, I've got one of the original blue box Sharks, and it, for some reason, because it's only, there's no Wi-Fi in that. It's got to be plugged into the network, and for some reason it quit working. I don't know why, but it just doesn't even see the internet anymore, or see that. But and now my thing just went offline here. I've got this little guy here, which is kind of like a zoom spot. There it is.
Oh, look at that.
WPSD just came back up on it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which, yeah, and I've got it it's stuck to a battery bank. But this thing
looks like a
works
Star.
great, except for some reason it's not working on D-Star. I can't get into it on D-Star. I can hear it reply back. I can hear that it transmit back on D-Star, but it won't go out onto the D-Star network. So I don't know if it's a setting that I've got. It works great on Fusion, and I don't have a DMR radio over here to mess around with. But yeah, so I've got this little guy. I picked that up at the Huntsville Ham Fest, and like I said, I've got WPSD running on it, and I like it. I just wish it worked on D-Star.
Yeah, no kidding. That's interesting.
It's
Let's
bizarre. Yeah.
move on. Okay, this was just funny because somebody posted this on X.
Oh
I
man.
don't even know if there's lots of replies yet, but I like to follow this guy K3G
That's a good
JRZ.
one.
He shares a lot of fun stuff. So
I do like that.
okay. This was fun. I've been thinking about ham radio on and off for years now. And he says, I'm going to start by listening with SDR on the U console. Can anyone recommend a good theoretical study guide? Another person that needs answers, everybody go to X, answer this guy.
Yeah.
That seems very complicated when he says theoretical study guide. Guide would have done. That's
somebody.
Talk radio theory.
Give him
antenna theory,
an
things like that,
ARRL handbook for Christmas. Somebody.
yes.
Yeah.
And just your
Yep.
old hand-me-down handbook that you have from 2017. Just hand it off to him.
And
then
again, no
that's it. There you
responses.
go.
Nobody
Buy him
ever
a-
sees these.
Buy him a Gordo book.
Yes,
Yeah.
send him a Gordo guide.
Yep.
Get him a Gordo guide.
Well, he said theoretical. You know, and that's kind of like dipping
Yeah,
into.
but
So
still,
Yeah.
into the
and all that
electronics
stuff
and yeah.
But Gordo
Get
book
him both.
definitely to get you your license and explain
Right.
why the questions are what the questions are. That's the way to go right there.
Definitely.
Yeah, the league has so many great books. I would just give him the ARRL.org bookstore and let him just drool over all that the league has.
I like that the show is going further on. There's more and more antennas that are showing up in front of Gordo. I think they're just continually growing in number. They're actually
else was gonna
growing
show
in
up
his,
there?
in his in his
like
shack.
a porcupine.
Yeah.
Okay, this one is a Canet.
It's
You don't
Shuey.
need to
I know that guy.
you don't need to watch the video. The thumbnail tells you everything you need to know. Now he's talking about this YouTube link that he showed about NATO phonetic alphabet, but keep saying kilowatt, you schmucks. I'll keep logging it as KW and happily get on with my life. Dang, bro, calm down.
So I actually met Shuey at the Anaheim HRO. He has been on Twitter forever, and he's a ham Twitter guy. And he gets a little spicy in there, but he's actually a really nice guy in person. But yeah, so I'm kind of with him. The kilowatt.
Are you no kilowatt?
No kilowatt. No, the kilowatt actually makes me think K and then W. Like yes, I know they should be using whiskey. You know,
I
for
don't
the
think
W.
I've ever used the word kilowatt ever.
Kilo and then whiskey, right? That's it.
I have never used kilowatt. It's too long. So if they can't capture the kilo, I'll go to my next K. What the hell do I use? I can't even remember what I use in other things, but or king, something. Kangaroo is a good one.
Well, everybody in Hawaii has to say King Henry, right?
King, yes.
King Henry.
Yeah,
it's always King Henry.
But I do not use kilowatt. But
No,
I feel bad for people that do because Shuey doesn't like you very much.
No, he doesn't.
Okay.
He doesn't like a lot of people though, so it's okay.
I doubt much sleep will be lost.
I know people like that. It's fine. This one, no, Timmy, you didn't work that rare DX station on FT8. Your computer worked that rare DX station. If Randy was here, he would lose his mind now.
I'll lose his mind for him.
Mm-hmm.
I set up the antenna. I ran the coax. I figured out how to use the software. I got good at using FT8. There's a whole number of things I had to learn to make that QSO. Just because I'm not putting my mouth sounds into the microphone doesn't mean I didn't make that contact. I still did, dang it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. And in some points, it is actually a little bit more difficult because of all of your sound card issues and things that you can have. So viewers, you speak out on it if you want.
I think that the time for that argument has passed about 5 years ago.
100 years ago. Yes.
FT8, when it came out, there was a lot more of those people out there.
Did
and
we
now
not just
it's like that is a non-existent
We're over
demographic
it.
at this point. Yeah.
Even the people that said that's not real ham radio have just stopped talking about it. So
that's right.
Yes. I would have, if I saw this tweet back in 2020 or something, maybe, but okay. All right. I found this stuff on Blue Sky. Walked outside where my son is playing his ham radio. He said, there's no one on the band. He said, get on. I bet you if you get on there and call CQ, someone will answer you. Anyhow, long story short, it's not like the story of our lives is that there's no one on there. Well, there's no one on there because you're not talking.
It is. It's too high in the solar cycle for these these posts.
Yeah.
It's too high in the solar cycle. It's easy to make contacts right now, everybody. Just
Yep.
get
And
on
they're
the
in
radio.
California.
Like
They're in
low-
California, and that makes sense to make a Japan contact
Yeah,
on 10
a
meters
10?
in the afternoon.
Yeah,
Always.
yeah. But
Like,
please,
that's just a thing.
there's a time and
And-
place for those statements. It's called the low side of the solar cycle. We're not there. We're not there,
No.
folks.
Were you going to say something, Gordo?
28,200 to 28,300. Just tune, and if you hear a whole bunch of CW beacons, even
Mhm.
though you have no idea where they are,
Yep.
the band is open.
Is open.
So
There you
Good point.
go.
Very good point.
listen
Alright.
for beacons. They're on all the time.
What else
Yep.
do I got here? Oh, this was I've never seen one of these antennas. Obviously, I've seen the tape measure antenna. This guy put up a cloth one using a Faraday tape for 70 centimeters.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I have a bigger picture of this, but I just wanted to show you what he was posting.
The
So-
rainbow thing makes it a little hard to see, but this person has made a J pole out of aluminum tape.
Okay.
So
Oh,
right
that's
there where
neat.
your mouse is it looks
Yeah.
like it's the little feed point. So see those two little dots that's on the green line
I do.
right there?
Yeah, right
So
there.
I think
Right
they're
there.
they're bridging the two legs there, and that's a J pole, and they can literally tune it by going up and down those legs to get where they need to be. They made a J pole with
So
adhesive
you don't.
tape.
This isn't its final point. Like it doesn't just rest on his porch like that, and he uses it.
I think
You
he takes
it's
the feed-
hung somewhere.
He can hang it like that, or I probably wouldn't. But it seems like he has that wire there probably maybe taps in on the backside, and it's
Okay.
making a connection to the tape there, and yeah, that works totally.
So
totally fine.
people, a good project for the youth out there if they're tired of making their tape measure antennas for projects.
Mhm.
Here's a new one for you. I've never
And-
seen one, so it's pretty cool.
And for 10 meters, just load into that pot on the left-hand side, load into the pot, and you'll probably have a great signal.
Gordo's cut off tonight. No more. No, I'm
Gordo's
kidding.
getting loaded on his antennas,
He's
and now he's talking
loaded
about
up
pots.
on
I don't know what's
antennas.
going on here.
Far
Speaking
out,
of
man.
antennas, here's another one. So this is more and more people. I just don't have any experience with this Delta Loop, so I didn't know if anyone here on the show had any
Oh, I
experience
love-
on if they like them for like their POTAs and stuff like that.
I
It's a little
have
big for a POTA, but you know.
yeah. So I have a couple of Delta Loops. I have used them ground mounted. I would encourage people to get them 25 feet up. Aim for like 25 feet.
Ah,
And they really do much better in that setup, particularly when it's bottom fed like that. So if it's like the 90 degrees is at the bottom,
Right.
and you know your tangent's on the other side, that gives you a whole lot of NVIS when it's on the ground like that.
so how
From
do you
my
get it 20
experience.
feet up? Like, what would you put it on?
So I have a rollover antenna mast for my truck, and I have a mast that's a push-up mast. It's a aluminum diameter push-up mast about that big,
Mhm.
and you slide it up, and then it twist locks into place. And so it's like
Okay.
a bunch of twist lock connectors. And so you build the whole antenna, and then you just push it up, turn it, push it up, turn it, push it up, turn it. It's maybe the antenna's maybe 10 pounds at most, so it's not that
Okay.
hard to get it up in the air, and it's great. They
Is
work
it?
pretty well. Yeah,
I
mean,
see a lot. I saw a lot of them used over field day too. Gordo, any experience with the Delta Loop?
Yes, get it up in the air.
Get it up in the air. Okay.
Well, hey, if Gordo backed me
You
up on
heard
that,
it
I
from
feel
the
pretty good about
Exactly.
that. So
There you
That's
go.
right.
Okay, this is another from Blue Sky. Spent some quality time with my Uniden scanner listening to the ham operators this evening. There's a non-zero chance that I may have to find a way to install an antenna array on the top of my roof one of these days. Hey, just get licensed. Then you can talk too. Don't just listen.
Also,
Yeah.
get a discone, and then you don't need a big old array. You get a nice wideband
Exactly.
discone for your scanner.
Points though
antenna.
that he actually has a scanner radio. I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's a race.
Because-
It's a race car one too. You see, it's NASCAR branded.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's true. Okay, two
Yeah.
more extra points for that. It's not just your bow thing that they're listening to. So I found it interesting. All right, what do we got next? 2-meter band nets. What happened to the art of conversation? Instead, it's just meter readings, audio judgments, and illness updates. I think you're listening to the wrong repeaters, my friend. We
They're
have
not all
lots
the
of fun
same.
conversations
Yeah.
on our repeaters, and a lot of it. Okay, there is a lot of weather talk. Chat room, you tell us what you guys talk about on 2 meters, but it's not That's not typical. There's
Well,
a
if
lot
you're
of
on a
people.
net, I mean, if you're on a net, it's kind of directed, and it's not rag chewing if you're on a net typically, because you've got to make your contact, say whatever it is you want to say, and then move on. And if it's okay, well, if it's the weather or whatever, or maybe you just got out of the hospital, or your kid made a home run, in the baseball game or whatever, yeah, mention it, but right, exactly. But yeah, I mean, just save the rag chew for the rag chew. You just, get on with the net and be done with it. And don't worry about it.
It's not like they shut the repeater off. You can talk after the way
Exactly.
you want to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. What else do we got?
Oh,
This is crazy.
no. What happened to my poor radio? That's a
That is it's a
817?
No, that's a
817,
Yazio.
818.
Yeah, 817,
Yes.
818.
Okay.
Oh.
So they
Oh, the
brought
battery blew
in
Blowed up good. Blowed up real good.
bad. And this was brought into a public building. They didn't say who brought it in, but obviously and this was here in Colorado. Obviously a ham brought it into some building, which is very scary. To think that we would maybe be responsible for a bad incident like this. But
Mhm.
make sure you have good lithium ions, or ones that are actually made for your equipment.
Yeah.
I don't have all the specs or anything like that, but this is not good. And it could have been even just a bad battery bank that blew up. I really can't
Mhm.
tell
Can
looking
you
at this
show me
picture what it
okay, let me
was.
see that for a second.
It's scary.
So what's
Did
interesting?
you hear that? Did you hear about there was a LiPo battery or something that blew up in the overhead luggage bin on an airplane a few days ago?
Oh,
Caught on
no.
fire. Yeah,
That's
it's been all over the news.
scary.
Yeah. Very
So-
scary.
So
Big
that's-
flames coming out of there.
Josh, I can't
How-
even tell
how
how it
did
was
they-
wired or anything.
Well, so
How did they
interesting.
put them out? How do you put out a lithium ion
They have like
battery?
a bag that they'll dump the device in or something.
They
that-
do,
yeah.
and fire departments are working more and more and putting out these kind of like infos about what their response and how they will respond to
Right.
lithium ion battery fires. So
I mean, that's almost like a magnesium fire. You almost can't put them out.
Yeah.
okay. And
Takes
then
a
it
ton
says
of water,
thankfully
yeah.
no one was hurt, but it was determined that a cheaper model battery had been purchased online.
Okay. I was going to say that radio
There's your
does not
problem.
come with a lithium ion battery stock. You have
Right.
to replace it with a lithium ion. And you know what? I have, and my lithium ion failed eventually. So I took it out of operation because I was like, I don't trust it. So I went back to the old
No.
NiCad one.
Mhm.
Or whatever it was, I don't remember. Yeah.
It's very scary to think that
Yeah, it is.
happens. And when those batteries swell, you guys don't touch them, don't squeeze them, don't touch them.
Mm-mm.
Just
Don't
find a
stab
bag
it
to
with
put
a
them
knife
in.
or anything
Yeah,
like that. Don't do
Jeff
that.
did that with a phone, and it shot out
Oh,
flames
yeah.
and sparks. So
Yeah.
okay. Okay, that's my last one. So safety first was my last response here. So stop sharing.
Oh,
All right.
Incidentally, on safety first, anytime you're dealing with antennas, protective lenses.
a very
wear
good point.
It's a
protective
great,
lenses
yeah,
anytime.
absolutely.
Yeah. Very good point.
You'll put your eye out, kid.
I do
Yeah.
have a quick. Do you think we have enough time to go through my little hack?
Oh, sure.
Okay. All right. So we weren't sure if we would fill the hour, which of course we did. Every time we say that, we're
Never
like,
a question.
We're just gonna
We
run.
never
out,
end
we're-
early.
We're gonna end early. No.
Never.
Anyway, I have a quick one that I think is good. So many people ask me, hey Josh, what kind of handheld do you take when you're traveling? And so I generally go with the Icoms because there's a feature that I don't think enough people know about them. So I'm going to pull up the D-Star Info website. So here's D-Star Info. And I'll drop the link in the comments so you guys check it out. But D-Star Info allows you to download a flat file, like a CSV file of repeaters. And it also kind of locates where they are. It provides the location of them. Well, what good is that? Well, I'll tell you. So the Icom radios, like the ID52, the ID50, the Icom 705, one of my favorite radios, it has GPS built in. So what you can do with that, let's go ahead and stop the scanning here. I have D-Star turned on, and it's looking at my local repeater, one of the local repeaters. But if I hold down the scan button, check out what it does. So it will say near repeaters, and you can say all repeaters, digital repeaters, or just FM. And what's cool with D-Star Info is you can say, I want 50% analog repeaters, 50% D-Star repeaters, and you can play around with it until you get a full loaded SD card. You put all that information on the SD card, and then you load it into your radio, and you can import that list, and your radio will use that list to determine repeaters that are local to you wherever you're at based off of GPS. So when I'm on travel, all I need to do is make sure I got a GPS signal, and then I hit near repeaters, and I start scanning, and I'm immediately listening to wherever the action is, and it's going to be D-Star and analog, right? So you get all of it. You get the best of both worlds when you use this feature, which is a really handy one. That's right, and that's generally why I kind of hit the scan button. And if you're driving around or you get to the hotel room and maybe you're going to take a shower or whatever, you got 30 minutes and you set it to scan, you're going to see the same repeater like pop up. That's how you can tell it's like, this is a hot repeater. This is the one I'll leave this one on, and then I'll say hi to, what's going on, how's everybody doing, kind of thing. So that's what I generally do when I'm on travel is I'll bring a trusty Icom radio and let the GPS do the walking for me.
That is
Got
a
one right
super
there.
handy function, by the way.
Yeah, and it
Definitely.
works on, that's an ID 50, is that right, Don?
51.
Yeah, that works with that radio
51.
too. They've had it
Mhm.
in their lineup of HTs for a while. D-Star Info will work with that, and it also works with the Kenwoods because Kenwoods run off D-Star, so you can do
Yep.
it with them
I've
too.
always been curious, like, how does it pick up like the tone information, and how does it know all of that?
It's all in the D-Star Info website. It's all locked into the downloads that you get. It's all in that CSV file. Covers all the bases for you. Makes it really easy. So
Sweet.
that's what I do.
There you go.
All right.
Okay, now we're done. And speaking of D-Star, we have a net going on 14 Charlie. And we'll be picking up our HF net beginning next month. So stay tuned for that.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we'll probably have a special introduction for that. And
Good.
that's it. I'm on my way to Grand Junction tomorrow
Good
morning.
for you. Have some fun.
Yes,
Take some
I'm
video.
so
Take some
excited.
pictures. Ham it or can it live
Yeah.
in
Try.
person edition. That would be fun.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Oh, yes, definitely. All right, so we're done. Thank
I
you,
will
everybody, for
be-
being here.
I will be live streaming this Saturday, and I don't know if it will arrive in time, but I made a purchase for testing equipment, and it should arrive on
Oh.
Saturday. So we may do a live stream on that. I haven't decided yet. So
Cool.
everybody tune in on that one. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. We have so much fun making these Ham Nation episodes. Thank you so
We
much for
do.
watching.
Yeah, we do.
And we'll talk to you again in 2 weeks. 73.
There you go.
Weeks.
Good night.
7-3.
7-3 all.